How you doing? Welcome to Hibachi Talk. I'm Gordo the Tech Czar. Why don't you grab a towel, pull up a chair, get yourself a libation, and sit here with my good old buddy Andrew, the security guy.
What's up, brother?
How you doing, brother? Another
Trying
week.
to hang on for another week.
Another week. We made it another week. We're here for some really good fun. Our guest today is Mr. Craig Chong, and he is a trusted strength and executive coach. And I've worked with Craig before. He's a pretty cool guy, and he's going to talk about navigating organizational change. And in the tech industry, we don't put in too much organizational change.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to talk about that and walk us through some of the challenges that he's been able to help get straightened out over his career. And well, we've got some news. We got Angus, and we got all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's been a pretty good week. Conferences this week. I've been
Busy? How was it? Did you get down to the
yeah, the energy and cyber
energy and
security.
cyber? Sure.
Cyber conference was there for a day and a half.
And?
Was
What'd you learn?
very, very good conference.
Okay.
Interesting combination though, right? Energy and cyber.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, well, wait a minute, which one am I going to do?
Sounds like they didn't know what they were going to put on, so they did both.
They did
instead.
both, yeah. But it was good. They had a very good mix of players that were there. There was some military, there was NSA, NIST groups, there was the private sector, public sector people that were there. Some of the movers and shakers in town were there. So it was a well put on conference. They did a couple things that were different. They did almost like a little hibachi talk.
See?
They called it.
They've been copying
They
us.
did a little beach thing. So it was a talk around the pool.
I see.
So they had little cups with the. We had to get those little umbrella things.
Okay.
They had the little
Oh,
yellow
yeah, we need
things.
that
the
for
little,
our,
for our libations,
Okay, okay,
right?
we
So
can do that.
they had the little umbrellas, and it was very good though.
Right on.
And the moderators were excellent. They did a great job and kept the thing moving. They must have coached them up so they knew not to speak too long. It was a good conference. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I'd like to get Captain Bean on here from the local NSA office. He's what he's doing with community outreach from the NSA, I think, is special. I think people need to hear it, and I don't know if he can come on a forum like this, but we'll ask him. We'll bug him a little.
Bug him a little bit and see if we can get him on. But I learned quite a bit. And I learned so much that I'm looking at a potential new business venture within the realm of Paxa.
See,
So
you're inspired.
I was inspired to say, ooh,
that's great leadership when they inspire you.
We can do that. We could do something.
And you gave a leadership talk this week. I got there late, but I did get there.
I did.
That's right.
That's right, I did.
What was that called?
Game changers.
Game changers,
Market
that's right.
changers.
That
Game
was-
changers. Some changers.
So I came in the room and everyone was just raptly attending to Gordo, and he's up there speaking. I was like, who's this guy?
Slight
Nice.
exaggeration.
No,
on your
it was
part.
good. You had their attention. They all wanted to know your secret, and his only secret was
happiness.
no, give back.
Oh yeah,
you
give
kept
back.
telling
That's
everybody
true.
to give back.
Yeah,
So
give
it
back.
was very
but I know,
inspiring.
do whatever you
And
do to make
happiness, too. He
happiness.
was
You know, make people happy. You make yourself happy.
That
make
was
other
good. It was
people
really
happy.
good.
So
It was a good week, huh?
it's been a good week. I've had something every night this week.
Wow.
So it was the Inventors Academy Awards last night for the University of Hawaii. So
Okay.
all the latest inventions that are coming out here. This is in Hawaii. So I'm trying to point out again. This is in Hawaii. We create great technology in Hawaii, and we don't get recognized for it. So it was a great event last night as well. Recognized a number of key players in town and a lot of stuff that they're doing. Another thing I got out of this one is we need to figure out a way to get some, light manufacturing capabilities done here in Hawaii.
Well, maybe the 3D printing will help us, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I saw a 3D printer that builds clay houses, dude. It was like 8 stories high. 3D printer, builds clay houses.
See,
Yeah,
there we
pretty
go.
cool stuff.
And that something you can move into.
Something I need to move into, probably.
What's that when it rains?
Get out my tent and cock.
So let's see. Do I have a got one tech job today?
I think so.
Do. Yeah, I
think
think
so.
I got a got one tech job today.
Let's get
so
to
you
it.
see, we got Siri. What do we have today? There we go. So this is someone who really
This
pays
is
close
our
attention.
favorite store.
Someone who pays close attention, right? So I'm up there and I'm putting out a close sign, but the sign above me says always open.
Always open.
Wouldn't you get back
Closed.
down off the ladder and say, "Hey, boss"?
Yeah, something's wrong with this
Something's not
picture.
quite right here. So
Wow.
anyway, so
Thank
this
you.
is someone who's not really paid close attention to organizational change.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, that was another great one. So you got one tech job. So that's that
everywhere.
piece. You got a security minute in a second.
I got
You got a
something.
security minute in a second.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
That's a fast one.
That's a fast one. And I got some news.
Let's do it.
I got some news. So we'll fire up some news.
There was some stuff this week.
There was
for
some.
sure.
This has been an interesting week. I'll call it the China week. Well, one thing though is that Yogi Berra passed away this week.
Yeah, I saw that in the papers.
Yogi Berra, and in my age when I was growing up, we followed Yogi Berra, and I'm thinking one of the thoughts I had the other day there, he had so many Yogi Berraisms, as I would call them.
Yeah.
All the little lines he would say. If you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Yeah.
You know, those kinds of things. The guy could buy left-handed and right-handed. He was amphibious.
Did he say that? He was amphibious?
Amphibious, so, instead of
Nice.
ambidextrous. So he had classics,
Yeah.
It gets dark early here. Or late early here. So
It gets late early here?
Yeah, because it was getting dark
I
at a
see.
game.
I see.
Anyway, he will be missed, but he was a classic.
Yeah.
He was
and
a
he
classic.
made it to 90, so.
And he made it
great
to
life.
90, and I hope I can do the same.
Great life.
That'd be awesome.
Right on.
So anyway, a few interesting news things. And it's China Week. Since, the Pope was here too.
Yep.
And you saw that. Did I tell you about Cardinal Scola? If Italian Cardinal Scola had become the Pope, just think about this, right?
Okay.
Instead of Pope Francis, if Cardinal Scola from Italy become the Pope, we'd have Pope Scola.
Oh.
So anyway.
Dude,
Ta-da-ta-da.
you're rolling.
I'm on a
For a
roll
Friday,
today. All right,
you're
that's
doing
right.
well.
Make that one go well.
Pope's a cola.
Anyway, so you can cut me off the show anytime you
Oh,
want.
you're
That's
doing
fine.
fine.
I know. Anyway, so interesting. Bill Gates has entered into a partnership with some Chinese business people to build a small nuclear power plant. He's going into smaller nuclear power plants using
In China, I guess?
in China,
Okay.
and it's with
can
what
see it.
company that Bill owns part of, and it's to take depleted uranium and be able to reuse it in
Oh, I see.
smaller
Instead of
plants.
storing it until it
Storing-
dies
storing
in
it.
50 billion
Yeah.
years. Sure.
So he's done that. He got into that one, and then also he's got all kinds of interesting partnerships going on. So they announced that Microsoft's Microsoft Surface Pros that are going to come out in China are going to not use the Internet Explorer. They're going to use the Baidu.
Oh, wow.
They're going to use Chinese browser as the main browser because it's the main browser in China.
Sure, makes
So,
sense.
and plus, in my opinion, China can control it better,
Yeah.
because that's what they want to do.
Sure.
So that's another one. So that's an interesting one. And then another one I found was kind of University of Washington. They've been doing a lot of stuff on artificial intelligence and things like that. We had
Sure.
Duffer on here talking about that. They've developed a way that people who are a mile apart can read another person's mind.
Yeah,
And so
I actually did catch that story.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
interesting thing that they've got going, and so they've got these experiments and testing going on. They wear these hoods and so on,
Sure.
and then they show pictures on one side, and then the person on the other side, which is a mile away in another room, has to identify what it is.
Ask
and so-
questions, right? They ask 20 questions, and then based on the answers, they get an image of what that person's looking at.
Yeah.
And was it 87%?
72,
72% got it right.
with
Which-
5 different groups.
Right, and when they did it by chance, it was 18.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt that it
There's
works.
no doubt it works.
Yeah,
So
very,
it's pretty,
very compelling.
that was a neat one as well.
I did see that.
And then, this is one that I've always wondered, and sure enough, it happened.
It
Happened.
happened.
Apple apps, a number of Apple
Apple
mobile
apps.
apps
Apple
have been
apps.
hacked. Been a long week.
Apple
Apple
apps.
have been
The
hacked.
App Store got hacked.
So, yeah, App Store got hacked,
Yeah.
and so I did a little bit of research. So if you go to the Apple website and a number of other websites, there is a list of all the apps that have been hacked.
Sure.
And I almost did it again.
Hacked.
And Apple is going to
They've
reach
been
out and
hackled.
let everybody know who it is. But at the same time, if you don't want to wait for Apple to get to you, I would encourage you to go to the Apple website or even just
Yeah, and you may have this malware on your phone. So
yeah,
pay
Google it on
attention.
Bing, and you'll be able to get that, or Bing it on Google, either way, and get that out and get that one out there. And then I since we had a China story at the beginning, and this is I'm learning, close with a China story. So we got Obama and the premier
Oh, yeah, I see
of
that.
China.
Yeah.
They're meeting today or yesterday, going over and
I
everything.
guess it went well.
Cybersecurity was one of the things
Of course
on
it
their
was. They
list.
signed an accord.
They signed an accord. So I started, well, this is awesome,
What's accord?
Yeah, what's an accord? So, they've
Half a
agreed
Rick.
that they will chase people that are going after business, corporate data, those kinds of things. Nothing about government data.
Sure.
And
But General Dynamics, Boeing, all those guys who service government.
yeah, so if
That's
you go after
business,
them, we won't, or Walmart, made in China. So, but you go like that, then you're going to be in trouble. But if you're going to just, come after government, well, we haven't written that one in yet.
Yeah, they have a level playing field agreement.
Yeah,
I can see what you're doing to me, and you can see what I'm doing to you.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
But the biggest news of the week, and you didn't bring it up,
okay, was?
Bitcoin became a regulated currency.
Yes, it did. How's that?
I thought you'd be all over that one.
I know. It's because I get people saying to me, "Go, Gordo, should you buy Bitcoin?" I go, "No, ask me anything about Bitcoin. It's my money that I'm
This is
putting
not
in
a
there.
financial show.
It's not a financial show. I am not a financial expert. But I told people, I told Jay Fidel, I said to Jay, this will become a regulated.
Isn't that how we pay our rent here?
That's right.
Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
I don't think Jay has anything to do with Bitcoin.
This is our last show, by the way, because we're paying.
Because they're not accepting Bitcoin down in ThinkTech.
Yeah, well, he might. So anyway, yeah. So that's right. So Bitcoin became regulated. So
Yeah.
that was the news I picked up this week. And again, thanks for bringing up the
Good job.
Bitcoin stuff. So you got a shocker for us on the.
Let's do it real quick now, and then because I know we got to go. So let's. I got a quick image up there, but
you got 5 minutes.
I've got a security minute and I got a second for a security minute or something like that, right? More dark leaks info. So we talked about this before. Data breaches are becoming a big part of the news cycle. I think everybody's getting sort of bored with it, but there's been a nice study done using the Privacy Rights Clearinghouse database, and I got a few minutes, right? So let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Hacking or malware are behind about 25% of the data breaches from 2005 until April of this year. The physical skimmers that we talk about, definitely we're losing data to those. Flash drives and physical files, another root cause of damaging data breaches. Also unintended disclosure, either through mistakes or negligence. So that's like leaving confidential stuff on the fax machine or whatever.
Yep.
The healthcare industry is now the most affected by data breaches, followed by government, retail, and education. And PII, personally identifiable information, is still the most commonly stolen record type. And I'm going to get to what these are worth in a minute. Uber, PayPal, and online gaming accounts are becoming picked on big time. Yeah,
I'm taking Uber to the airport
there
today.
There you go. So don't let them hack your account.
Okay.
Accounts
I'll use your
belonging
credit card number.
U.S. mobile, like your mobile phone account, that information, they're selling those for about $14 a piece. Your Uber accounts, PayPal, and eBay accounts can be sold for up to about $300 a piece.
Okay, well, I don't have PayPal.
Compromised Uber accounts, again, are in high demand. People are using them for free rides in other countries, things like that. So taking big in China to take your U.S. account and use it in China.
Oh, that's interesting.
$200 to $500 account for Uber right now. Card information is sold for anyone willing to pay, and this is like your credit card data. But they tend to be bought in big chunks. They're not really worth a lot anymore, maybe a dime, a quarter, maybe $1 a piece if you buy 1,000 of them at a time. And that's because there's so many of them out there.
Yeah.
The price has dropped way down because there's more data has been stolen than there is demand for it.
And there's some more awareness too.
Yeah. But PII, so this personally identifiable information, sales are conducted on a per line basis of about $1. So this would be your full name, your full address, your date of birth, your social security number, and any other PII that they have. If someone buys just a few lines, obviously they can commit pretty serious fraud on your behalf. If they get other things bundled with that, like your passport, your driver's license, or some utility bills, it might sell for up to $3 or $4. So your PII online,
PII, your
personally identifiable information, all it takes for me to become you for a nefarious purpose is only costing me a couple of bucks these days, depending on what I really want to accomplish. And actual copies of your passport, things like that, can be as much as $10.
So if you see a charge for Uber on your bill for today,
pay attention to it.
It was me.
It was Gordo.
If
They paid it in Bitcoin.
I took it to the airport, so
Wow.
I'll even tell you what time I did it.
I was just stunned how, the healthcare records now are worth a lot. Your PII,
Yeah.
not much. Bank cards,
Yeah.
not much. So that's where we're at today.
We talked about it last week. The big hack at the healthcare providers and so on. So and healthcare, I noticed that also in healthcare we got who's going to take over Maui hospitals? Kaiser's going to take over the Maui.
Management. I think everybody will be watching that closely, see how they do.
Yeah,
we need a model that works in this state. I mean, the state hasn't been able to do it,
Yes,
so hopefully
no.
Kaiser can. That's their business.
That's their big one. So, and then I saw they're going to do a multi-million-dollar renovation of the Kaneohe healthcare facility and so on. And then they've got, Big Island needs some help, so we got to figure out what they're going to do over there. But there's been a lot of lookies over there trying to figure out who's going to take over those hospitals.
Trying to find a spot,
A spot. So it's a lot of good stuff happening. So anyway, we're coming up on that time where we can, I can take a little break.
And we'll go get Angus off the beach.
We go get Angus. I can see him way down there. We'll get Angus get him off the beach, bring him up here. He said he's got something kind of cool today. And we'll be back in about a minute.
Aloha, this is Reg Baker and I am the host of Business in Hawaii. We talk about positive stories of businesses in Hawaii, how they have been successful and how they have overcome some of the obstacles that a lot of us encounter when we try to have a business here. And believe it or not, there are a number of positive stories here and we want to talk to all of you. So we broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock. and it rebroadcasts again on Olelo Channel 54. So I sure hope to see you next time. Please tune in on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy Matsuki, and I host the show High Growth with HTDC on ThinkTech Hawaii. This is the show where we talk about all things tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing, because there's so many things going on in Hawaii and more people should know about them. So this is the program that you can come and find out about all the things happening in Hawaii. And this show also airs on Olelo 54 along with ThinkTech Hawaii. And it broadcasts live every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. So don't forget, check out the show Tuesday, 3 p.m. every other week. High Growth with HTDC. Thanks.
Aloha, my name is Roy Kodani, and every Wednesday at 1 p.m. I host Life in the Law, which is a segment of ThinkTech Hawaii. And basically, I host guests who have some relevancy to law in Hawaii. And I hope you will continue to tune in. If you have questions, tweet us at ThinkTech Hawaii. Mahalo.
How's it? I'm Damon,
I'm Joe.
and we're the Lola Brothers.
We are the Lola Brothers.
We are the Lola Brothers. Hey, join us each week where we'll have wacky animations and adventures, and you'll get to hang out with one of our amazing friends. We'll talk about music and what
Life
else?
in general.
Life in general. All right.
Current events.
Current events.
Technology.
You can tweet us at ThinkTechHI.
Tweet us. We enjoy
And
it.
every Thursdays at 5 o'clock.
Thursday.
Join us.
5.
It's having fun. Hey, aloha. Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. I think Angus is up from the beach, and I think he's got a gadget for us, as he usually does. Angus, welcome back, brother. How you doing today?
Aloha, Drew. How you doing there,
Right
lad?
on, man. Right on.
It's
So-
great to see you.
Good to see you.
I got my shades on
Can
today.
you see me through there?
I can see you.
All right, on.
My
All
shades,
right.
my shades. My future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
All right.
So
I know
we got
that
a lot
song.
of cool things happening this week. But anyway, I got a wee joke for you. You know I always have a wee joke for you.
All right,
But
tell me.
I learned something the other day there. You know, do you know that 2 or 3 glasses of beer a day can reduce your risk of giving a shite?
A what?
And I'm giving you a damn. You didn't ken what I'm talking about when I talk with the Scottish language.
Okay.
Anyway, a damn. That's what it means, a damn. Anyway, I got a really, really cool, I've been following these Kickstarter things, right? So I got a really, really cool thing. It's an escape pod. An escape pod.
what?
You know, we've had the storms coming and we had the hurricanes coming and so
Oh,
on.
you're really worried.
This guy has come up with this really cool thing, an escape pod. It's got really neat things inside of it. So it comes in different kinds. They have a 2-seater and a 4-seater and a 6-seater and up to a
what?
10-seater. Yeah, the
So
escape pod.
who's going to go in yours?
Well, I got.
Is that for me or in Gordo or?
Sorry, lad, ain't gonna work. Yeah, this is a 2-seater, but I think the 2-seaters, it's okay. But I'm gonna get the 4-seater. Yeah, one for me and the other 3 seats for my wee lassies.
Ah, good
They're the
man,
ones that
I
are gonna be in
understand.
there. It's awesome, and it comes up with all kinds of really neat things. It comes with a iPhone sound system inside. It even has a toilet. It has a wee toilet in there, so you can be bobbing around in the waves, and then when someone comes find you, then you get picked up. It's got hooks.
It's got a porthole.
It's got hooks, not hookers. It's got hooks. It's got hooks on there to take you out of the ocean or whatever you may end up landing up. So it's a really cool thing. So you know what? I might get one.
How much is it?
Yeah, well, here you go again. Yeah,
How
well,
much
that's
is
about
it?
the money.
You
So-
got more money than anybody I know.
Well,
How much is
this one
this thing?
starts at $10,000.
What?
$10,000.
American.
I know, but you know what? I can buy 2 of them and then I make it my wee husa and the islands. It's a lot cheaper.
Maybe you can rent it out during the next hurricane.
That's true. Homeless. We can give it to the homeless. Yeah, we got new homeless housing right there. It's all set. I'll give Mr. Caldwell a call, or Mayor Caldwell. So give him a call and let him know. Anyway, Drew, that's what I got this week. So remember, everybody, let your wind gang free wherever you be. Aloha.
So get your life-saving pod, like for sure. Don't count on Angus to open the door of his pod for you, because it doesn't sound like he's going to do it. It's going to be full in there. Craig Chong is with us today. We're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about leadership in business, I think. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. Craig, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Thank you.
Aloha. Nice to have you.
Hey, Craig. Nice to see you, bud.
Thank you very
Thanks for last week for getting me to speak at that group.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's
So
awesome.
it's quid pro quo around here, you know.
I know.
He
Hey,
goes
I-
on
I
and-
said what
is that
goes
how
on?
you got him on? All right.
Got him to come on.
Thanks
So-
for coming down.
So, Craig, you have a really interesting career, and interesting job, and all kinds of really neat stuff in organizational change. And you see a lot. I saw you do some work for some government agencies here that were
Yeah.
struggling, and such and so on. But we always like to know a little bit of background about our guests and so on. So, local style. Where
Yep.
did you go to school? So,
How did it all start?
Yeah, how did it all
So
start?
I grew up here in Nuuanu, went through public school, and finished at Roosevelt High School.
Roosevelt.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
Roosevelt.
All right.
25
Might be our first
years.
Roosevelt
Let's
grad.
hear it for private school that we didn't go to.
It
Yes.
might be our first Roosevelt grad here, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember another one.
I don't remember.
Class of 90, we just celebrated our 25th reunion this week.
Wow, class of 90 Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Class of 90.
That was terrific.
Everybody says I look the same, but everybody else is like grown.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You took good care of yourself.
We're the society of getting a little chunkiness.
Yes.
That's kind of how
Nice.
happened. So you went to Roosevelt, and did you just stay here? Did you go to the mainland, or do
well, actually, I went to UH Hilo, so it's sort of,
Oh.
I was here, but my dad grew up in Hilo, so I went
Okay.
over to Hilo and really kind of found myself there.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love Hilo.
yeah.
I mean,
course.
it hasn't changed since 1990.
Yeah, the first year I got there, it rained 325 inches, and I was just like, oh my God! I came back to Honolulu, and you take out your clothes out of the thing, you almost want to wring it out. It's just
Yeah, it's
So
a
bloody
little
wet.
damp, a little mold. Have a little bit of a mold
Just
issue.
a little
over there.
bit,
Yeah,
just a little
a
bit.
little slight. So, wow. So did you come right back to Oahu after
So
you spent
what'd
your
you
time in
study?
Hilo?
yeah. So I was actually my major was in agribusiness.
Oh,
So
right
it was
on.
about sheep and animals and plants. But I realized they didn't talk. But what I really studied was student government. So I really became
Oh.
a student of leadership. President student body, enjoyed helping people, and that's kind of how I got into the work that I'm doing today.
Yeah, because you do executive coaching, or
Yeah.
even non-executive. You do general
Yep.
coaching,
Yep.
executive coaching. So tell us a little bit. So what is it that you do? I mean, it's kind of
Did you-
hard to put a handle on it.
Well, I want to see, did you major in you said government, did you?
So
So
actually,
you majored in agribusiness and just
yeah.
undergrad
So
in?
connecting the dots, I got to know this guy named Wayne Cordero. He
Oh, yeah,
he's
no,
a
you used to be in
pastor-
Rotary with Wayne, sure.
Yeah, pastor of a local church here. So we became good friends in Hilo, and then when he actually moved to Honolulu to start New Hope, I jumped on board, and that venture was like a rocket ship. It grew from 0 to 6,000 in 4 years, and as a result, I basically managed all of the facilities, all of the operations,
Oh, right
and
on.
really worked with a lot of volunteer leaders. So
Sure.
I cut my teeth in managing about 300 volunteers every weekend.
Wow.
And
And we all know how
that's-
tough that is, right? Because
Herding
volunteers,
cats.
volunteers, yeah, they come and go,
Yep.
they got agendas of their own, it's
Right.
volunteer, right? So
Yep.
by its nature, it's difficult, wow.
But it was
Right
actually
on.
easier because they were there because they had a passion and
Sure.
a purpose. So they wanted to give back versus when you're working with people in the marketplace sometimes or even in government, they're there because they have to be rather
Mhm.
than because they want to be.
I noticed when you said government,
He
you,
looked-
you looked at me and you paused, like you were waiting for me to make some kind of smart aleck comment. Not moi.
You did volunteer, though. You actually did volunteer, so you,
Well, that's
you,
my community service.
Yep,
right.
Yep,
So,
yep.
you had a different take.
So I got into that, and then actually after about 4 years, I realized that I needed more structure to put behind kind of what we're practicing on the ground. So I went to study at graduate school. I studied leadership development for about 5 years.
okay.
Wow.
And this guy, Dr. J. Robert Clinton, kind of took me under his wings, and it's kind of from the church world, and it was really about how do leaders develop over a lifetime. So how do they emerge, and how do they finish when, just before they die, not just when they retire. So it's sort of the whole lifespan
All
of a
the way.
leader was
Interesting.
really big.
So
And was that here as well, or?
That was in Pasadena, California.
Oh, okay.
okay.
So, and then I went on board with a group that was doing consulting with church leaders globally.
Ah.
So we traveled,
Wow.
lived out of a suitcase, and I got sick and tired of doing that. And on a trip home, I met my wife and decided 10 years ago, we celebrated our anniversary yesterday.
Oh, right on.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Nice job. Good
Awesome.
job.
And I realized, hey, I really want to come back to Hawaii, set down roots, and kind of my vision was, well, how can I help develop the next generation or work with the top tier leaders in Hawaii? And we started this business called Fresh Leadership. So we started with Farrington High School.
Okay.
And out of Farrington, we did some leadership coaching, and we used a bunch of assessments. And the principal, who's a very good friend of ours still today, Catherine Payne, said, wow, if I knew this about myself 20 years prior, my career would have shifted how I did things. So all of a sudden, she ended up, she had me work with her whole leadership team. And as a result, we did a whole strategic plan for them and helped them actually restructure themselves in the midst of No Child Left Behind.
Okay, so coming back, so you know, when you said you went to the Farrington, I thought it was the students that you were working with. But
No, it
you
was
were working with the
leadership,
faculty.
yeah.
So you're working with the faculty.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's kind of that takes some courage because
Yeah.
usually principals don't
Yeah.
go beyond that. You know, I hate to use thinking out of the box, but
Yeah.
they usually don't make that step outside of what's within their
Yeah.
rigid frame they have to
And
work.
Catherine's a visionary leader. I mean,
Okay.
she's leading our charter school board today,
Okay.
but huge vision and more than that, taught me the principle of, well, how to invest in young leaders. So she took me, somebody wet behind the ears, had some graduate school, had a little bit of experience, and she said, hey, use my live organization. So I was with her for 5 years,
Wow.
which is kind of the beginning of the transformation that you see the track is being redeveloped, and there's some new classrooms and the way that they teach and how they reach out to
And
students.
how they reach
So-
out to the students. Now, you're not dealing with students in your
No.
line of work. You're dealing with
Yeah.
with people, some of whom have some years on them,
Mhm.
miles on them,
Yeah.
and so it's I must imagine it has to be somewhat of a challenge when you're having to
Yeah.
come in and as a lifestyle coach or a
Yeah.
change agent, those kinds of things, to get the seniors, and I'll pick up myself,
Yeah.
to say, wait, I've been around a long time. What the hell?
Yeah.
What are you going to tell me that I don't already know? I mean,
Yeah.
so that must be a challenge.
Yeah, it was. When I first came back, starting a consulting business in my 30s, people look at you and go, oh, you don't have any gray hair. Actually, you have all your hair,
You have all your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't think, actually, they just kind of, some of them wrote me off early days. And it really took some visionary people to kind of look and ask the questions of, hey, what are you actually thinking? And it was people like Catherine that invested in me early on that gave me that opportunity. And the key thing is, what I realized is when I came out of graduate school, I thought, well, I had all the answers. I'm gonna be this great consultant. I had this dream to do that. But most people don't do that till they're in their 50s. And what he ended up doing was, actually what I realized about being a consultant was I couldn't just have all the answers. So what I realized was that a coach is somebody that can actually not necessarily have the answers, but they ask the questions. And when I interviewed you this past week, one of your mentorees says, what is one of your greatest assets? And you're like, I don't know what it is. And he said curiosity. Forrest said curiosity.
Yeah, someone
and
told me what he thought my
Yeah,
answer was. I
yeah.
couldn't even think of what it was.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is really how do you actually be curious with somebody, create space so that they can discover, and you give them process in which to think about things.
Yeah.
My wife used to be a financial advisor, and although people would entrust her with millions of dollars, what they were really entrusting was that she would put it into the right vehicles. So as a coach consultant, what I have is a whole toolbox of things that I may not have developed, but I've been taught and mentored by some masters, and they said, put it in these categories and you spread out your risk like this, and voila. So that's kind of what people hire me to do. Is I've learned the best practices in the industry, and I build this relationship of trust, and they open up, and I actually help them figure out things.
And then you help them walk through. Yeah, because you've got and you
That's
bring
awesome.
you bring the experience from the other individuals that you've been working with and the challenges that they have. Well, we have a tweet out here.
Sure.
But I'm learning this whole new
Questions.
technique on the poignant pause. Remember I talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
that earlier? So this is it said, aloha, Craig, what is the greatest challenge that you hear about from small business leaders in Hawaii? Okay, so don't answer yet, because see, now what I do is now I call for a break. And so
That's how we get them to come
That's
back.
how we get the audience
There
to
we go.
come back.
There we go.
That's the whole. So anyway, we're going to take a break.
Pay some bills.
We're here with Craig Chong, and we're going to answer this question, and we're going to pay some bills. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on ThinkTech Hawaii anytime you like. Why should you do that? Because this is an arts show that I believe is making a difference in lives. We talk with artists of various ilk. We talk with painters and writers, playwrights, novelists, poets, sculptors, dancers, you name it, directors, actors, of course. And we don't only talk about what people do, but we talk about how they do it. And my favorite part of the conversation, we talk about why they do it. And it's really common on this show to hear people say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. And it's very common to hear people afterwards who have seen the show say the same thing. And I hear all the time that people are inspired by the conversations that we have. So why don't you join us and be inspired too? That's Center Stage on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you Center Stage.
Aloha, how you doing? Welcome to Hibachi Talk. I'm Gordon the Tech Czar, here with Andrew the security guy, and our guest, Craig Chong, who's going to be, Craig Chong, I'm sorry, what did I do there? So, no one would have known.
You're not talking that well today.
Well, I'm not talking
It's the apple
well on
flappers
Fridays.
that got you going.
Anyway, Craig has
It's another week.
another week. So anyway, Craig's going to talk us about navigating organizational change. And before we went on the break, we had a tweet come in. You know, what's the greatest challenge that you had about from small business leaders in Hawaii? That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I generally work with a lot of larger business leaders, but when I think with small business leaders, what they're challenged with is especially talent. So finding the right talent, and it's a lot of the small businesses in Hawaii are family owned. So because they're family owned, passing the baton, even your company, it's a family business, and it's a big family business, but it once was a mom and pop shop. But it's really this whole thing of succession planning, and how do you groom the next crop of leaders? So that's kind of where I fit in the mix of it. Is, hey, the old guys need me to work with the young guys to
Did
get
you say
them.
old guys?
I was interested to know, do you, in that,
Sorry, just, you know.
it's an interesting environment.
Boomers.
Do-
Boomers sounds
Boomers,
better.
all right.
Boomers. Do you think the family, paradigm is okay today, or more okay today, with looking outside of the family? Like the family, the grandfather did it this way, the father did it this way, we want the kids to do it this way, that worked, it worked for generations. You're not going to change anything, but is there a little more openness now to teaching coming from outside?
Yeah,
doing things different?
there's a lot of openness,
That's
a
awesome.
lot of change, but it's really tough because there's so much. I think for me, one of the things is there's a lot of offline conversations about what's really going on with the family, and so nobody understands why they're making, the leader in charge is making these decisions, but oftentimes it's being driven from behind the scenes with the family.
I see, okay.
And
Interesting.
Managing both sides of that is one of the biggest things that you have to do especially when you're working small business in Hawaii.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
that would
sure.
be
Makes
tough
sense.
when you've got the grandfather or the father in the background
figurehead.
saying, okay, I know he or she's doing this, but I want it.
Especially if it's,
Yeah.
and especially if they were the founder, like
Yeah.
if they really
Yeah.
did build
Yeah.
it and they've passed it on.
Yeah.
and
Or
they
they've got their favorite people.
Yeah, I bet.
And
I bet
they're
there's
sacred
that.
cows, and
Yeah.
they don't move.
And they've been in the company a long
Forever.
time. So,
Yeah.
so Sal, some of the challenges you got to be looking at though is like,
Yeah.
the workforce, and you've talked about this. We've got,
Yeah.
the Gen Ys, the Gen X's,
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Boomers, and the Silents all working together now. You've got four generations of workers. And I tell you, we're all different. I tell you, there is
We've had those talks on
I
this
show
show.
that. So that must be one of the big challenges that you come up against.
Yeah, and how do they work together? How do they the big thing is, how do they communicate? And the biggest thing that Gen Y is asking for is they want to be coached, and
Yeah.
Boomers are like, just do it, put in your hard hours and work.
Yeah, learn.
And they're like, hey, I want to be coached. So actually, a lot of what we do is we actually do training with Boomers on, these are coaching skills that you can use with anybody. You can use it laterally, downward, and all the way through the organization. But that's one of the biggest value things that they do. So rather than just tell, it's really, how do you ask the questions? How do you engage them? How do you inspire them?
Right,
And how do you connect with them?
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it because you think the Gen X and the Gen Ys are going to be the same, but they're not. I mean, they are 90-degree difference in how you manage and coach those individuals.
Yeah.
Some like to be looked over the shoulder, and some just give me the assignment, tell me what you want, and leave me alone.
Yeah.
I think millennials like to work in team, they're more team, right?
Yeah.
They give us a team together, but they're also the first to be the most critical of each other in that team.
Is that right?
They'll nail each other in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Whereas I found that the Gen X's tend to be more tolerant of it, right? They'll let them
Yeah,
get by.
yeah.
Have you found that the case, or
Yeah, I think that because the Gen X generation, the demographic is so small.
That's true.
It's smaller, so they don't really have time to do anything because they're being tapped in so many areas from from their job to their, and they want to spend time with their kids,
Right.
and they want to spend time, good family time. So that work-life balance is important, but they're just really taxed,
Right.
Versus I think the Gen Y, they don't have any kids, they're not on corporate boards, they have a lot of time. They don't have, and they just have a lot of friends, and it's a bigger demographic. So some of that really, I'm noticing is very interesting because we're trying to recruit a lot of people to boards that I'm on, and my colleagues who are Gen X, none of them will join. I can't hardly get anybody to join because they're like, I'm just too tapped out.
Their time is tapped.
And that's one of the things we've talked about on this show is like, coming forward is like, if you want a career, you have to get into these giving back, into these community services, right? You have to
Yeah.
do those
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
So we got another one. Hey, Hibachi Talk, how does Craig think Hawaii's business leaders stack up against those on the mainland? Whoa, there we go. I'll leave the room.
Well, I really believe that I have this principle that I talk about is really I believe all the answers are in the box. So I think Hawaii has the brain power, it has the people that they need. We sometimes need to just give them the opportunities. Oftentimes when I'm working with leaders, companies that I'm not working with, oftentimes are importing talent to try and fill some of the top management rather than coaching, developing, mentoring. So I find that businesses in Hawaii, they're so, and this is because my bias as a consultant, they're so not willing to invest money into training and consulting and coaching and development, over the long haul of 5-10 years, but they're willing to pay a bonus or they're willing to pay for travel, to bring this family over to get a top leader. But if they had been investing in their own stock
Right.
for 5-10 years,
Right.
they would have that crop. But that's kind of one of my pet peeves that business leaders in Hawaii don't invest in Hawaii first,
Yeah.
and then they go, well, where's the successors?
Where's the talent?
That's
You know,
really interesting
you know,
point.
That's
it nails it.
true, and you've got me thinking on a couple things. So
And you hired a young guy,
and
so
I hired a young, so I'm a
and
boomer, and I
yeah,
bring in a Gen X, 30 in his mid-30s.
and you're going to train him for a while.
Train him for a number of years, get him, and he's going to do a great job. And
So you can do
bring
these
with his-
talks.
But what he needs, so I can do these talks. So I can spend more time making tons of money on Hibachi Talk. So, but what I've noticed, and you just gave me this little epiphany right now, is that he needs to start thinking about that next level down,
Yeah.
which are the millennials.
Yeah,
So, or maybe maybe on the cusp of some of the Gen X's,
Yeah.
but he needs to be looking at, okay, not his successor,
Yeah.
but his middle management
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
And who are they going to be? Because you're certainly
Yeah.
not going to find a lot of boomers who are
Yeah.
available and some boomers that I know would even be appalled to work for someone that's younger than them.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I have worked for more Gen X's than any other bosses ever.
Oh, yeah?
Mm.
So I've been on the reverse of that
I see.
for
Yeah.
most of my career. But that's he's got to start thinking.
And that
of
strikes a
kind of
chord.
thing.
That's actually one of the key questions that we ask. When we ask, hey, what's going on in your life that's kind of interesting that you want to talk about? And then it's also, from a personal level, what are you developing as a leader? So if I'm asking you that, then you're naturally coaching people. And the third part is, what is it that what is it that not only can I help you with, but who are you developing? If you ask that question, if you ask any of your people every week on a regular basis, who are you developing? And most people don't think about developing people.
Right.
The first thing they think about is they're actually thinking about getting the work done. So I was just with a big downtown company, one of the EVPs, head of this big company, and he said, when you ask any of their people what are their top 3 priorities, developing people never makes it on the top 3.
Interesting.
When this company right here in downtown, their whole thing is about relationships and people. And he said, it's not, that part is not in our DNA
It's not
completely.
in your culture, right?
Yeah.
It's something that you
Yeah.
haven't thought of, right?
Which is a big thing.
It's a big,
Yeah,
it's a
they,
big
they
thing.
used to call it like always be training your replacement, always be, you know, you wanna be passing all the skills you have on, because you need to learn new ones anyway. You don't want, you
Yeah.
you
Oh,
yourself
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah,
be
yeah.
stuck, so give this one to someone coming
Yeah,
up, and
yeah,
you should be learning
yeah.
from someone above you, and
And
it's, everybody's, we
Yeah.
should all end up leading each other, right? Isn't one of the most powerful things about
way.
leadership is
Yeah.
creating new leaders?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
The hard part though is, you know, in Hawaii, there's not a lot of vertical movement in companies. Most people start and they kind of stay, they might move one or two rungs up, but,
But in the
you know,
senior level, you see a
Yeah.
fair number of people float around for a while here.
Yeah, yeah.
You can go, you know, some of the top movers and shakers that you see
Yeah.
in town,
Yeah.
because of how this town works, they're the ones that float around in those senior level positions
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
higher levels in
Yeah.
town. But here's a question I got to ask you.
Yeah.
It's the thing, it drives me crazy. Is that what is it about these senior level executives that continue to think that the people from the mainland know better than what we do when we've got this great talent pool here? What is that culture? Why is it still here?
I don't know.
You see it all the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they go, well, we got you, you know, you coming in, you've got all this experience, you bring it to the table, you
Yeah.
can help us, but you know what, we're gonna bring in
We're gonna go
yada, yada,
hire
yada,
somebody.
and we're gonna bring them in at 3 times as much money,
Yeah.
plus airfare and hotel, because they know what have they got that's on us?
Yeah,
Why is that?
it drives me crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy, you know, and I mean, classic example is you take the connector, which was a total mess, right?
Right.
You know, and where did all that money go? You
Yeah.
know, they hired some local talent, but all of
Great
the
point.
profits
Oh,
went
not
out.
much local talent. The
Yeah.
connector was, you know, was the large
Yeah.
players, and then they brought in more large players from the
Yeah.
West Coast on
Yeah.
a sole source contract.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that one.
Yeah.
But, you know, just all of that came in here, and then, so now that
Yeah.
it fades,
Yeah.
and that's it. And,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't just unique
Yeah.
to us, but mind you, they brought them into here, but
Yeah.
in West Coast, they failed all over the country.
Yeah.
And that's a whole project management thing, which I'm
Yeah.
hoping to have as
Yeah.
we'll talk about
I
that.
have,
mean,
I have a comment.
Okay.
So I can tell you this, that
Yes.
all of the money, and we calculated it recently, over $300,000 of training we invested in folks from the mainland has all gone back to the mainland. Every penny of the money I've invested in local folks is still in our firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that? Oh, yeah, that's.
That
true.
is money well spent versus money thrown away. And some of the guys left for, you know, personal reasons they had to go back.
Yeah.
Is what it is, family, things like that. I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Cost of living.
invest in your folks here,
Yeah.
keep that money here, and it'll pay dividends for you.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I mean, I think I'm all for people coming to Hawaii to be a part of it, but it's really, are you going to set down roots? I
Yeah,
mean, you're
stay.
a primary example, because if we're going to invest in you, are you going to become an asset to our community, or are you just going to come in, you know, take from the community
And-
and then leave, you know, which hurts the community over
Right,
the long haul.
It does.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
right.
I
you
was
know.
fortunate that, you know, there's something about Hawaii, I mean, the mana or whatever.
Yeah.
It just grabbed my soul and never let
Yeah.
me go. And so once that happened, there was,
You just weren't a good swimmer.
yeah,
Couldn't get away.
I couldn't get away. I was a great swimmer, as a
Just
matter of
joking.
fact. Why do you think I look? Why do you think my skin looks like this? Yeah, we've got to love the sun here. But you're absolutely right. So here we've spent a fair bit of time talking through all of this,
Sure.
and you're not going to believe this. We've actually burned through
Wow.
through the lunch hour. But what we
yeah.
let's give it, before we give you our autograph solo cup. So you have a website, and give us a little bit, where people
Yeah.
get a hold of you.
Yeah, website is freshleadership.com.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
fresh leadership.
there you go.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You got it.
Zura, you're on it.
And that's
Man,
how you can get a hold of me on that, you know?
Find you there, and then
Yep.
and I can personally attest to the fact that I've seen your work in the private sector, and I've seen your work in the government sector.
Yeah.
And I would have thought, I would say that probably, I would have thought, that wasn't there, that your government sector challenge must have been the largest, because I know some of those players that were
Yeah.
at that, and that
Yeah.
was some old guard people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I saw him work a room at the Pacific Club the other night. He did a good job there too.
So anyway, yeah. So I would encourage boomers and the like, if because you've got a lot of X's and Y's behind you, that you should reach out to you and have you come in and
thank you.
talk to them and so on. Again, we want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You have the autograph solo cup. You have number
Oh,
35
number
in the
35.
series. Number 35.
Gotta
in the
frame
series.
this.
Yeah.
That's tough.
You can
Put
emboss
some
it.
beer or put some beer in it.
Beer
That's
in
what
it.
belongs
You
in
can
it.
emboss it in gold.
Yeah,
So,
sounds
Do
good.
you know the
sounds
purpose
good.
of the lines? We'll do that on another show.
lines.
These
This
lines
one-
have a purpose.
But this one doesn't
This
have
doesn't have
all
the
of
lines.
them. It's
Oh,
not
yes,
a
oh,
real
this-
solo
it's not-
cut.
Oh, yes, a
Oh, okay.
knockoff.
It's a knockoff
Chinese
solo.
knockoff.
Yeah,
Oh,
it doesn't
God.
have the actual lines it's supposed to.
But we numbered it, so we know you didn't get a fake from Hibachi Talk. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us again this week with Craig Chong, and please check out his website. We'll be back next week with more goods and services, so to speak. Just want to remind everybody to check us out at hibachitalk.com and follow us on Twitter and
Thanks,
Facebook.
Zuri.
That'd be great.
Thanks, Nick.
Zuri.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jay.
Nick. Thank you, Jay, for all this. And just remember, everybody, as I say every week, how are you doing?